Just wanted to see if this.
Well, hello. Yes, and welcome to Courageous Conversations, another episode. Our first official episode.
Right.
Yes. If you all are watching, yes, you are not looking at a mirror. I know people always like, are you twins? This is my wonder twin. And we're just going to start by just introducing ourselves and then the concept of courageous conversations and why we decided that we were going to do it again in a different format. So I'm Dr. DeYonne Parker. You'll hear my sister call me D because that is how I'm referred to by those who love me. And so I am that hand on your back, I like to say, that pushes you into your courage zone, out of your comfort zone, into your courage zone. And I am joined by my beautiful sister, FaLisa Jones. Tell the people who you are, girl.
I need an intro.
You do.
I need a whole spiel. So I'm FaLisa Jones. I'm the other hand on your back okay. I go by Lisa for those that do love me as well. But no, all seriousness, I am, as she said, her wonder twin. I am an evangelist in the ministry of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I am a professional in corporate America, a mom, a wife. I'm all those things. But today I'm just a sister. So I'm just excited to be here with you today.
Ooh, yes. Tell them why we decided to do this again. What do you think?
Because this is what we do.
We just finished doing
We just decided to televise it. No, we had such a good chance to talk about your book last time. And I'm so proud of you. And I got to interview you kind of, because you let me kind of interview you. But I think also we just realized people, enjoyed and appreciated some sister talk.
Yeah.
And so we said, we'll do it again. And maybe this will become a thing because who doesn't like to talk to their sisters?
I know. Yeah. Maybe some people don't. Some people don't like to talk to their sister.
Okay. Well, that could be.
But I do. I love talking to my sisters. I have two amazing sisters. And so when we get together, we're often and unfortunately referred to as like hyenas because we laugh so much.
That's that one uncle.
That one uncle. That refers to us as hyenas. But no, you're right. And we got some feedback from people who are in our lives that loves us and our friends and, watching this like, y'all have a good vibe. And we're like, yeah, but, this is what we do. We talk, we put our head scarves on or we just get on the phone and just, we go at it. And so we just thought we would bring it to you all and invite you all into the conversation. Yeah. So, we didn't want it to be like real formal. We just wanted to come out and talk. And we wanted to also, encourage not only just each other, but we also wanted to encourage you all. And we wanted to talk about some things that are hot out here, right? That will help us, and in all that we do.
In all the things that we do. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, whoever you are that are tuning in, we hope that you have your popcorn. Get your popcorn ready. Get your tissues. Get your journals. Get your grab your sides because there might be some hilarious things going on. You never know what comes out of the mouths of these two sisters right here. But we hope that you enjoy it. Share it with a friend. We won't be before you too long. We thought we'd come out for about 30 minutes and wrap with you all. So. What are we talking about today, sis?
I want to just piggyback and say if you got a sister or a BFF, this is definitely that time to tag them.
Mhm.
Because I think we want to hear from you as well. Like, we're going to talk about some topics. I got something I want to talk about, but I would love to hear people weigh in, right? And I also think I love your title, DeYonne, because um, your book, right, From Comfort to Courage, and what we're going to be talking about is just courageous conversations. And we're really planning to just throw some topics out here that could be controversial, maybe not, or just could be on the minds of a lot of people,
Yeah.
and how you would approach some of these conversations courageously, or we want your opinion on, maybe what it is we're talking about. Did whatever we're going to talk about show or display some type of courage that we could maybe even adapt or adopt into our own lives? And so I'm gonna
Mhm.
throw one out there, sis.
Go on. Throw it out there.
And I was thinking about this young lady, Angel Reese. Angel
Mhm.
Reese
Mhm.
and the women's basketball championship, the NCAA championships for women basketball. Angel Reese. I know you heard of her.
April Reese.
No, ma'am.
Wait.
Angel Reese.
Oh, why we calling her April? Is it April?
No, it's not April. It's Angel. Um, Angel Reese is somebody I wanted to talk about her because she was in the news. And when I think of sisterhood and I think of, what we do, and, you opened up talking about, the fact that you lead, young girls and women. And Angel Reese has been in the news because, if during that championship game, the final championship game, they played Iowa. This is LSU. And
Mhm.
LSU, I'm a basketball follower now.
Yes, of course you are.
Yeah, I'm,
Yes.
I'm I'm like that now with basketball. I really do know what I'm talking about.
You got
Because of
good
my
reason.
son. Um, but no, so Angel was in the news because she, of course, did the championship when they won at the end of the game. She did the John Cena in your face, kind of, mocking Caitlin Clark, who was on the Iowa team. She was the superstar for Iowa, and Angel is the superstar for LSU. And she was looked at and demonized really after that whole thing in a way that was tragic. I mean, it blew. I don't know if you're on Twitter. Are you on Twitter very much?
I I get on there every now and again, and then I get off because there, you know how I feel about
I
certain
know.
people.
I know. Twitter though is like where everybody talks sports.
Hmm.
And so I got to catch up a lot on the story. I had no idea who Angel Reese was before the championship. But what it brought out to me, my immediate reaction, and I don't know if anybody is on at this point that may know what I'm talking about, but I do. If you do know, I kind of want to know what your reaction was. At the end of the game, they won the championship game. It was the most heated and a hot game that was in the media at that time. It ended up having like 9.5 million views, which is the highest viewage for any women's basketball game. Okay,
My,
WNBA included. It outbeat the men's championship. And so at the end of the game, it's in that last quarter. They already could feel that they had won. They only had a few seconds left. And she was like kind of following Caitlin Clark around, and she's doing the whole in your face and
yeah.
all this over and over,
Yeah.
right? So she's talking stuff. And I will tell you my immediate reaction, because I was watching the game and I liked both teams. So I'm watching the game and I see her do it at the end, and I was like, oh, come on. Come on, Angel. Like, this is what they already think about us. Don't do too much. That's really where my mind went. And I was salty about it. And so that story kind of unfolded because I had a feeling all they were going to talk about was this, right? They just won this amazing game, but all they were going to talk about is this black girl
Yeah.
doing this to this white girl. And I just was like, don't do it, right? So I started to watch the media unfold. And when I say D, it hit hard.
Yeah.
Somebody called her, one of the writers on Twitter who's known, a sports writer, called her a piece of, she was just a piece of,
Yeah.
I mean, they called her out her name. They came for her hard. And Iowa came for her very hard. So I don't know. I wanted to talk about that today. First of all, do you know, now that I've kind of laid it out,
Yes, now I know who. Yes, and now I know who you're talking about.
it's
Yes,
not April?
yes, it's not
Or,
April. I don't know where I got April, but she was an April to me, and that. But I do know who you're talking about, and I know we had this conversation, and you're absolutely right, and it was interesting because I remember exactly where I was at when that game was played. But
okay.
I was actually at the movies. I was standing there and I was getting some popcorn and I was watching all of this unfold. And then I went back to understand what the whole controversy was
Yeah.
around her. And I think it was so interesting about all the different biases and the stereotypes and the double standards and all of that, because oh my, how
Mm-hmm.
many times is when I thought about it, and I hear you, because you're right, because the focus could then be so just taken away from what was so monumental and such an amazing feat for these women, right?
Yeah.
Only to focus on this. So
Right.
I hear you on that. I think my mind went to, why is this a big deal when in men's sports this happens all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Trash
Mm-hmm.
talking, the whole, I mean, up in your face, the whole, all of it
Yeah.
happens
Yeah.
all the time. And
Yeah.
so to me, it felt like it was such a shame that this was getting so much heat
Mm-hmm.
because this young lady was like confident in her stance,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
confident in herself and who she was, and
Mm-hmm.
also, I mean, just how she showed up on the court, the whole 9 yards.
So I see somebody. I'm coming. Whoever this is that just said, "What about what the first lady said?" I know. I'm getting there because I got to tell you all how my. I'm just. So first of all, I didn't really know, like I said, who she was. But I had caught a Caitlin Clark game, and I was sucked in, and so I was determined to watch that last game.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it happened, I found myself quickly, in love with LSU because I'm looking at all this black magic on the court. I couldn't help it. And I my immediate reaction was, if my son did that, because I'm real big on sportsmanship with Quentin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have been furious if I saw him going to that lane.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me and the way I raised my son.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw it, it shocked me. But then when the news started to unfold, I became the biggest Angel Reese fan.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is, here is this young girl standing and not apologizing
Yes.
for her confidence.
Yes.
She didn't apologize for what she called herself as hood
Mm-hmm.
and where she came from.
Yeah.
And when the first lady, to this viewer's point, the first lady had the nerve to say, I think we're going to invite Iowa too.
Both teams. No.
Both teams to the White House because they played such a good game. Wait a minute.
No.
This has never been done before.
There's
right?
no
And she called it out real
trophy.
quick. And so I was just so impressed with her ability to have that much courage at that age to face millions
That
of
part.
people. I didn't have that at her age. I promise you, I would struggle with it probably now. But in a cancel culture, she was not afraid of being canceled. She trusted her instinct and who she was enough to be able to answer confidently back to half the world that called her everything. If the first lady, she told the first lady and the president, we ain't coming.
We ain't coming.
That wasn't a Superman pose. That was a sis.
She did. Honey, she was 10 toes down in what she was saying. And she was very courageous when she had to face the world because they came for her. And so, I mean, so when you talk about, at her age, my, whatever her parents put in her to be able to go, number one, with all the people who, first of all, were in her face around her talking it, and then people that she had no idea. I mean, people coming for her on every social media outlet, news outlet, to be able to face that and still play, right? And still perform and still show up and still be who she truly is without apology, honey. That part.
It's that part. And I look at how she handled it. And so I'm gonna just say this for anybody watching. I'm not really focused on what side you might be on of it. I feel like you can only respect somebody's confidence like that so much. Like, for her to have it that early, she had some Cassius Clay in her, right? Some Muhammad Ali in her. She has, who do they compare her to when it comes to the NBA, like your Charles Barkley's and all she just has this thing already, right? Yeah, she was like, forget that. We're going to the Obamas. DeYonne, I started scrubbing. So if you guys don't know me, one thing I struggle with is confidence. And so, and always wanted to show up and be more courageous and be more direct in certain settings. And when I looked at this little young thing, I immediately started just scrubbing social media about her because she intrigued me in a way that it made me think about the fact that I have my own daughter who, if I could be honest, my baby's she could be a little rough around the edges sometimes. She can carry a little attitude. And sometimes I find myself wanting to polish her up to kind of be more like I think, right, she should be. And so her statements about who she is and not apologizing for where she comes from, I think you and I come from a generation and time where we wanted to make sure, the way our mom raised us, we didn't want to bring certain negative attention to our culture. We didn't want to bring negative attention to who we are as Black women.
We'll feed into the stereotype.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
And so we would try to make sure we didn't give them that narrative. And I think that's why I jumped the way that I did. Like, girl, don't, And she was like, no, I'm not apologizing for whatever narrative you want to paint about me.
That's right.
Because this is who I know that I am. I am a little hood. And my gift can't be denied. Who I am, I love who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stand in who I am.
Yeah.
And you're not going to force me to apologize for it. And so it made me think about my daughter and make sure that I watch that in me.
Yeah.
That I don't set her up to have this conforming spirit.
Yes.
To where I have to conform to the room that I'm in versus, no, I got to show up courageously in the room that I am in. Right. So I don't know. I'm a fan now.
I love it. I love it. I think that, when we think about all the many layers that our young people right now in this day and age have to shed, right?
Yeah.
Because of the narrative that's been placed on them, things that they didn't ask for, things that they've had to combat that have followed from generation to generation. To see the courage of these young people fight for their own voice, fight for their uniqueness, their value in the world, is so encouraging. It's amazing. To me, it's so important for us to all take a seat and watch as well, and to help them, right? Because I think we've been so busy thinking that we're protecting them. And this is the next generation of leaders that are going to lead the way, and to help bring up the next ones, and to also help us to learn a thing or two, right? And I also think I know we talked about this, how courageous are her parents, right? To be able to watch their child go through something like that. Now, you were telling me something earlier. What were you talking about that you looked at?
Well, in my studies.
In your studies. Yes.
In my Angel Reese studies. Her mom is a basketball player too. She played in college and I think she played even professionally for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. I just went to her Twitter page because I'm like, what did mama have to say? Because if someone was coming for my child in this way, as hard as they were, I see my mom on here. Hey, mom. She's on, but I know Carol would have had something to say. And I know I would have had something to say. And so I looked her up and I didn't see that she commented much at all. Especially I didn't see anything like that was real negative at all. Honestly, I don't know if I saw much of anything being said. I thought, wow, because at least from what I saw, she's letting her daughter fight her own battle.
That part.
She's letting her daughter stand in what she said what she said moment.
Yep.
And and I'm sure behind the scenes, conversations were being had, but I just meant in terms of coming out, because this is all happening in the media. She didn't come out in the media and try to save her.
Right.
And that would be tough for me because I am that mom. I am that mom, that wants to come and make sure that
listen,
I'm
listen.
I can be that mom.
Can we just talk about that?
Yeah.
And those of you who are that mom, I wanted to hear you comment in in the chat room as well. Comment in the comment box. But can we just pause for just a second to say the restraint that takes, because I am that mom too. Now my boys know, if you come for my children, I will be up at the school. I will be before it opens. I will be that one. I was telling my sister this story about my child when he was in pre-K, and I had to come up to the school because they were saying, "Oh, well, all the kids follow him, and all the, I don't know why, and they're doing, and he's doing this particular behavior." And I said, "Oh, he's exhibiting leadership skills. That's let's find a way to hone that, because what you're not going to do is put something on my child that will follow him forever, right? A name or whatever it is. You're not going to do that. We're going to break that, because our children right now have so many of those, that stigma on them that they have to come apart from. But, oh my, when we talk about growing up, Carol Jean, that one there, they affectionately called her the warden.
That's right. That's right. I think she still is.
I think she still is too. I'm still scared of my mama.
I think Carol still is about that life.
It is.
I don't know. Mom always talks about this though, how hard it was for when we started growing up, for her to watch us and have to let us sit in whatever it was that we were going through sometimes, because she couldn't control it and she couldn't always fix it. And like now I'm in Chicago, you all are in Georgia. And I know it, when I went through things, my mom couldn't just be here, and I don't mean to say, for those, we don't know Angel Reese and her family. We really don't. We don't know really what was happening behind the scenes, but just from what I saw, she let her fight her own battle. Maybe she's, being her cheerleader from the background. But at what point, Dee, because you got two kids, one out, one in, and I'm not quite there yet. I'm getting ready to, of course, if you don't know, let Quentin, I'm seeing Quentin off to college, and we're trying to like prepare ourselves for that now. But with William, he's adulting. And then you got one that's in his last couple of years of school. Like, when did you feel like you started kind of taking your hands off a little bit and letting him just like, sit in his stuff?
Yes. I think it's different for everybody. But for me, when William went away, it was I was so proud of him. But I also felt extremely helpless at that time too, because I had to let him go, and go and do his things, right? I think, some people would say, I see somebody said high school. I don't know if it was high school. I felt like I had to still have my arms around him. But as he was transitioning into college, is when that was the first step. But I still step in. I still, I'm still there, but it's from a different perspective, right? I'm no longer the directive of what he does. Sometimes I am, but just depends. So I'm trying not to be, but I'm more of the consultant, right? I ask questions now. And when I ask questions, I watch his actions.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm there. And Mom used to always say this to us. She would always say, "You're out the nest." But I would tell her, no, I'm holding on by a claw.
The one claw.
There's one claw in that nest, right?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't ready to let go. But Mom also was saying, if you fly, you fall. She was always, she always had this little safety net for us. But she was still allowing us to fall, right? She was still allowing us to fly. And there still needed to be an opportunity to fall, to see what we would do.
Yeah. If we're gonna fly, that's the hardest thing for me. I'll be honest. The hardest thing for me is to let my children fall. And I know I'm not gonna be in a position that I can be there on a daily to save him. He's gonna be way too far away for me to be able to do that. So I think that will be the hardest thing. But I'm sure if I think about her mom and watching our mom, we have to trust that there's something that we put in these kids that they're going to be able to fly. Or they're going to be they're going to rebound. And this is why we cover our kids, I know, the way that you and I do.
Yes.
Even in prayer for the things that we just cannot control. But it's hard. That part, if we're gonna talk about a courageous conversation,
Come on.
it would be that. It would be parenting.
It
Yeah,
is not for the faint
letting
of
them,
heart. It's
letting
not.
them find their way and letting them navigate. But I swear, like we've got a couple months before your nephew leaves us, and it's like we're trying to cram every lesson that we can into him. We really are. And
Girl.
then I think just adding the fact of of the fact that he's a young black man being released into society, right? You know,
Right.
we're trying to jam pack every lesson that we possibly can, but I have to pray that there's something in him that he'll be able to
That's
stand
it.
and fly even when it gets tough.
That's it. Girls, oil them down. First of all, anoint, oil them down.
Yeah.
Color them with
Are you
oil.
still going in and laying your hands on them when they sleep? Because
Yes.
oh yes, I'm all up and through,
And
girl.
no
I put the
idea.
oil on the pillow.
Listen,
You know?
when they're awake, girl, I'll just go and touch their. Oh, your hair is just. Oh, look at waves. It's just me looking so.
So Taylor, so y'all, we're talking about putting the bless oil on them, y'all. We've been doing it forever, but I'll go in and it's like Quentin can, he'll be like kind of half in the blanket, and so he'll jump, but he knows at this point, he knows, and he'll just like, if he does feel me, he'll just put his head out. That Taylor though, that baby girl, somebody help her. That girl, if she really does feel me, she will pull her blanket over. That's your problem now.
Listen,
That's the problem.
listen. You talk about listen, girl. You talk about the lessons and giving them life lessons. I mean, cramming it in. I tried.
Mhm.
When I tell you, if William went to go get a cookie, there was a lesson in the cookie and how you let me understand. Let me help you understand your path to getting that cookie and the way that you. It
You
was.
are still like that.
I
Everything's a teachable moment.
Malcolm, bless Malcolm, because Malcolm still he is. He's getting all he gets all the teachable moments, girl. They'd be like, I know what okay. Like
Yeah.
the grass, oh yes, and see how the grass was withered.
Do you know how the grass grew?
Do you
Let me explain
understand?
it to you.
Let me understand because growth is in everything and it was in the process.
Wait, and then I'd be with my nephews like, you still do it to me. So therefore, oh, mom said something.
Yes.
Parenting is very hard, and prayer is the only way that you can keep your peace. Let go and let God. Yeah.
You know what,
Yeah.
Mama, you are so right. And I will also say, Mom, she's still teaching. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm still a student because she still
Absolutely.
parents me. And one of the things I think Mom said to me, and I know she said it to you, two things. First of all, she just called us out of the blue and said that we were good moms.
Mhm.
You are a good mom. And so I hope
And
that
we both needed it.
girl, listen, I'm passing that on to all of you moms that are listening. Y'all are good moms. Listen. Whew, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
But Mom also said, stop trying to be their friend. Like, and care so much about, when they get funky, the funkiness and the when they don't want to talk to you and then and all hurt your feelings. Just your feelings just be all hurt because you think you got a whole, oh, so excited.
Yeah.
And they just but it was good advice because she's right.
Mhm.
She's like, they'll come back to you.
Mhm.
They will come back to you. Ignore
Mhm.
them for a couple days
Mhm.
and they'll
Yeah.
come back. But it was real talk because I think a lot of times, we want to please our children. We want to
Mhm.
make sure they have everything. We want to have all these great moments. And then when they don't, there's no reciprocity
Mhm.
in there and you don't get it back, right? It's hurtful. It hurts your little
Well,
feelings.
what did mom used to always say to us? She would say, they're going to need you before you need them.
Mama Mama said y'all used to hurt my feelings.
First of all, mom, no, no. Well, maybe. I didn't hurt your feelings as much as D. I didn't. I didn't.
Well, let me say this. I didn't hurt your feelings as much as Shonda. as our oldest sister. I'm passing it to her. Oh, that's
I
so
learned
cool.
my lesson from watching the two of y'all.
And you ain't never lied. Now
And
listen.
I knew Carol was about that life from watching you two. And I decided I didn't want much of that. But I know I hurt mom when I know being away from her, deciding to live where I live, for love. Yeah, I know that hurt.
Yes.
Yep, that's the statement though. Mom used to always tell us
You
is
gonna
they're gonna
leave?
need you before you need them.
That's
About
exactly.
our own kids.
Yeah.
Because which was true for us, is we needed her.
She ain't never lied. She ain't never
So,
lied. I come
but
home.
I mean, when you,
My mama said.
I think when I think of that, sometimes again, the hurtful is when you're waiting on that sometimes where you're not you're trying to give them space and you're hoping that they still need you. And then the honest truth though is there should become a point that they don't need you as much and you have to be okay with that. And I think that's the hardest part of letting them go and letting them grow up.
And I
It's the
was,
fact that they don't necessarily need you every day. I think it'll come back around when they get older, right? And they're
I
starting to really
definitely
adult, but
hmm
you know.
my relationship is different with William now because
Hmm.
he's an adult, right?
Yeah.
But I also respect his boundaries as
Yeah.
an adult. And I think that we have to understand when our children do get to that stage that they're going to make some decisions that do not line up with your decisions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for us to guide them, right?
Yeah.
I've moved from guarding, and I was guarding, and so I'm little guard, big guide, and so I think it's
Mm,
also dependent upon
good.
your children and the maturity level in which they have showed you, right, in their decision making. So what Malcolm does now at this age that he is may not have been where William was at when he was that age, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
I have to go by the specific child to understand when it is time for me to guard versus guide. And so I know
I
right
like
now,
that. You're gonna
it
have to
is,
help me be the guide
yes,
because
I
I'm
love
very
it.
much a guard.
But listen, if Malcolm had his way, if he'd come in here right now, he would be like, she's guarding. She's
I am very much a guard, but I also think it's being okay with letting go. That guard piece is a sense of
yeah,
control, and I
it
am
is.
now realizing, and mom, we were talking about this with mom too, that it seems like it's much harder to be a parent to an adult than it is to when they're smaller, only because you can't be their guard, you can't have that control.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Miss Buford is on here, and that Miss Buford was Malcolm's teacher.
Oh, so
When Malcolm was young, so she
did you have to tell Miss Buford about leadership skills? Is that
knows. Miss Buford helped me.
Miss Buford had to get you together?
She helped me get Malcolm together. Child. It was yes.
Oh, bless
Miss
your heart.
Buford
Hi,
said,
Miss Buford.
thank you, Miss Buford, honey, because it speaks volumes. When you think about teachers,
Yeah,
because they see our kids and what we don't see,
yeah.
and how they act and how they have to, you know, care for them. And not all teachers are created equal. So I
Mhm.
appreciate,
Well,
the
you
things
can
that
find a good teacher.
I'm trying to tell you.
I promise you. I
Woo.
I literally was like a little bit of a sucker. I was the teacher's pet. Like I wanted to make sure that teacher, when I found a really good teacher with my kid, I wanted to make sure that I valued them so that they really did know, because I don't envy that job. I don't envy that job.
Listen, I told Miss Buford, I will be your room parent. I was a room parent girl at every grade. Let me tell you, for William and Malcolm at every grade, I was the best room parent. Child, listen, I will help y'all put on the parties and the favors and all, because
Yeah,
I know what y'all deal with.
yeah.
And I really understand and appreciate the role because I could not do it. I'm parent, I'm mama, and I still
Mhm, mhm.
I
Oh
can't do
yeah.
what they do.
Now, you know what? I think about mom and us growing up, and because we were talking about this earlier, being a single mom. And I know you and I are talking about being a guard. I think, and you were, in most of your child rearing years, you were still married.
Mm-hmm.
And me being, having another parent to kind of go through some of these things are with. Um, I think it's been a little bit easier, right, to feel like you have that extra level of support. But when I look at mom and how she was able to keep the three of us together,
Yes.
you know, when you're
Agreed.
talking about courageous parenting, and not have that other person to run up to the school all the time and be like some things that we're talking about that we do as a guard, um, mom couldn't do because she was working two jobs.
That's exactly right.
And so honestly, mom, because I know sometimes you still feel guilty about that. And so any other single mothers that might be listening,
Mm-hmm.
I think it forced you and I and Shonda to have to be able to stand, even though I know I feel like I struggle sometimes with confidence, but we had to be able to stand in some courageous positions
Yeah.
because we didn't always have, mom, her ability to just run up to the school. Mom had our back, don't get me wrong, but she couldn't always physically be there, in those moments. And she really did teach us how to handle it. Like I remember us going in her room at night and all getting in her bed and
Mm-hmm.
talking about the day, and it might be 9:30 at night.
Yep.
And mom couldn't necessarily make it to the school the next day to go and fight the battle, but she would
Right.
tell us how to go fight.
But listen, I will never forget. Mom showed up when this was my Angel Reese moment when I
Oh,
was
I know
in
what
high
you're about to
school.
say. Go
In
on and
high
tell the people.
school, child, listen, I'm telling you, she showed up. And so
Mhm.
in my high school, we were dealing with some race issues in the
Yep.
high school. Went to a predominantly white high school,
Yep.
and I was the only black cheerleader on my squad.
Hmm.
And so I will never forget, there was a fight that was broke out into the lunchroom, and there was a derogatory remark that was said by one of the administrators, and it was geared towards the black kids that were fighting.
Are you
They
gonna say what it
all,
was? You're being really peachy. Are you gonna say what it
I'm
was?
trying to remember exactly what it was. It was like it was
I thought he
basically
called
like,
him a nigga.
no, I
I
don't
thought
think
that's what happened. No.
it
Hmm.
wasn't. It didn't go all the way there, but
See, that's fake news.
yeah, fake news, ma'am. Don't get me.
I just made it juicier than what it needed to be.
No moment.
Sorry, carry on.
Nope. So it was like, it's always these damn black kids that are fighting. It was something like
Oh
that.
no, that's bad.
And that was right. And it was not, that was not the truth.
Mhm.
So it was a whole walkout and everything. And then there was a few of us that were like, you know what? No, this goes deeper than just this. This was just the last match, right? And so we decided that we were going to use our voices to
Mhm.
help make some change. And we did. We talked about the history classes and the curriculum that wasn't being taught. We talked about some of the things that we had heard, me being the only cheerleader. I was called the grab bag cheerleader.
Wow.
Grab bag, put one in, shake it up, pull her
Wow.
out. And it was me, right?
Mm.
And so think about that. But then they had a whole parents conference. And my mama took her time off that job and came up there and was like, no, no. Because they said, didn't we give you an opportunity to be on the cheerleading team? And mom said, my daughter earned the right to be on this team. You didn't give her anything.
Well, now, mom,
And so
the guard came on out.
she came on out, but what she did let me do was use my voice. I was a girl in the news. I was on the
You were on. Okay, let me jump in, and you can tell me where it's fake news because I probably was like 10. I don't know. But I became a fan of you, like I was of Angel, because I remember you were on like I don't. Okay, I was gonna say you were on the front page of the newspaper. It may not. Have been. It may not.
no,
It may
we
not.
do. Mom still has that clip.
I know, but was it the front page?
I don't know if it was the front.
Okay, but see, in my head, when
It
I
was
told
a
the
big
story,
picture.
when I told the story, it was a big picture. When I told the story, you were on the front.
I don't think it was the
You
front.
were on the front page of the Omaha World Herald,
Oh, the world.
and she had a microphone in her face. I think you had on a green shirt.
No, ma'am, it was purple. It was purple.
All right, close enough. Green, purple, same. But no, I remember Well, I will say I was super, super proud that I had this dope sister who just, yeah, you were definitely, that was an Angel Reese moment. Absolutely Angel Reese moment. Because I thought that you guys walked out. Did you guys
We
walk
did.
out?
We
So
did.
yeah,
We
so
did.
you guys walked out. The black students, I think, walked out that day.
Sure did.
I got something right. And then they held that press conference, and it was you and I remember Joni, your best
Yep.
friend. I think you
Yep.
guys were both using your voices. And
Mhm.
so for me, as a, just to kind of maybe bring this full circle, for me as a young girl looking at you, it always, you were a model in that way of of courage and of strength, and of someone that was using their voice in the midst of people that don't look like us. And that's really again why I was able to look at her that way and just be like, girl, so DeYonne, I guess you had it young. You did have it. You did.
I look back at that. Mom showed me that a long time ago. She still has that. And I, first of all, I was laughing at myself because I was wearing purple.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. But it taught me something, that sometimes it's always right. Oh, look at, hi Lily girl.
All right.
Hey girl. She was like, this conversation getting good. She need to come on in.
Look at her.
But it taught me that what we really care about, and things that we're passionate about are placed in us at a young age, and sometimes something happens and we see it come out. So when I look at my children, right, and see something that they're passionate about or whatever it is, mom taught me this as well. She said, don't, what did she tell me? Oh gosh, I want to get it right. Oh, I'm not going to get it right in this moment, but basically she was just like, don't put that fire out, because she didn't put it out in me.
She would always say, don't dim her light.
She said something else, but it was like that. But she said it was a specific phrase, and I held on to it because I wanted to remember it with my children. But she said that to me because she didn't do it to me. She knew, she was like, I knew who you were. I knew I was the child that was going to jump in the pool and tell her I could swim because I saw it on TV. She did not put it out.
We all had our names. I was the flower child, the one that skips through the tulips, is what mom, without a care in the world. What were you?
I don't want to tell the other names y'all called me.
Oh, I know what it was. All right, we'll leave that one. Well, it just spoke to your strength.
Yes, that's just, let's just move on past that.
Okay, you just, that's not your reputation anymore. But no, I look at, like your niece. Taylor has just a different level of boldness sometimes and strength than I feel like I did at her age. And maybe I'm selling myself short. Maybe I can't think of my Angel Reese moment when I was a kid. I know now I've had some Angel Reese moments as an adult, but when I try to think of what I did maybe as a child, I can't think of. I held positions, in school and high school, and things that I ran for, running, like our Black History club at the time. I was the president of it and having to speak out in different forums and stuff like that. I definitely did have those moments, but I'm trying to think of, did I have my true, I don't know, rebel moment? Did I have a good Angel Reese story?
I mean, my goodness, Lisa, I think about you, child. I think about you. I can't get out of my head. You going around and start your own violin musical performance business. You go knocking door to door. This was an entrepreneur before she knew
it. It might have been an entrepreneur moment. I don't know if that
entrepreneur
quite Angel Reese moment. But no, I look at the same way mom looked at you though and tried to make sure she doesn't, whatever her statement was, but putting out that fire. I have to be careful in my kids to make sure that, again, I don't. Yes, she is mom. She's trying to be seen, Lily. But just to make sure that I don't put, like I said before, that conforming, spirit in them. If it doesn't mean that I don't still expect them to be good citizens in society. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying whatever that fire is in them, wherever that passion is for them, I don't want to put that out just because it may not show up the way I do. You know what I mean? So
no, I do. I know exactly what you mean. And I think I also not only not want to put it out, but I also don't want to mold it to be like me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to also accept that my kids were different than me. Bless their
Mhm.
hearts, they grew up with a whole extroverted mama, and both my boys
They're
are
introverts.
introverts. And I could have
Oh,
sworn
the best kind.
I thought Malcolm was an extrovert. No, I was like, no, he's an extrovert. And I was incorrect, and I needed to understand and how William would shut it down on me too. I was like, well, wait, so I have to be careful of
Yeah.
trying not to place my stuff and because what I think, and we should be doing this or you should be doing it. I can't
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No.
I got to also let them be who they are
Yeah.
and allow them to also know what I admire about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
tell them that. Like my God, I can't do that. I've
Right.
never been able to do what you're doing right now.
Right. Right.
And to be able to tell them that.
No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I think we should do a topic on introversion and extroverts,
Ooh, that's good.
introverts and extroverts next time, or something like that.
Spoken from two extroverts.
With introverted tendencies.
Introverted tendencies.
Yeah.
People don't see that. I need to shut it down sometimes too. That's why I be going to my little spa.
Oh, and do you go?
Yes.
Well, we are like 15 minutes over the time I think we said we were going to be, but this has been so good.
It's fun.
It's been fun. I thank you for talking about Angel Reese to me. I don't know. Again, everybody can share what their consensus is about it if you got an opinion. And
Yeah.
but I just thought there was just so much to pull from what I witnessed in just her strength.
I
So
agree.
yeah,
What a
here we are,
great,
middle-aged women looking at this little young thing doing the thing. So
exactly. What
yeah.
great, valuable lessons that we can learn from that young lady, and taking it back and
Hmm.
applying, how we need to stand 10 toes down and things
Hmm.
that we
When you really believe in
really need
something.
to right for who we are.
Yeah, when you really believe in something and you
Mhm.
believe in yourself. And that's the thing I think I saw from her. She believes in herself. So that's, I think we could leave it there. Yeah.
I think so. All
Yeah.
right,
This
peeps.
is great.
Like, comment, share. If you got anything valuable out of this, we'd love to hear. And if you have any topics that you want us to chat about or you're interested, right, in learning more about, let us know. Hit us up. We'll be interested. Thanks, sis. I love you.
Love you more. Bye.
Bye, y'all.